Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. This was the motto instilled by the mother of a fictitious character by the name of Forrest Gump. Hello, my name is Cole Taylor, and I'm going to take you on a little journey of some of Forrest Gump's adventures and some of his biggest accomplishments throughout his lifetime. Now, some men, they like to hang their hats on the things they did as an adult. Forrest, fortunately, was able to hang his hat on some of the things he did as a child. While growing up, his mother often used his house as an inn, and he took a liking to a man with a guitar who stayed in one of the upstairs rooms. Now, when he would go up to the room and hang out with this man, he would strum his guitar, and Forrest would sit up there and he would start swinging his hips and swaying his hips. And the man took a liking to this move. One day, Forrest and his mother are walking back from getting groceries one day, and they come across the television and they see this man doing the same exact dance move that Forrest was doing in his room. Turns out it was the same man, and he was doing the same move, and that man turned out to be the king himself, Elvis Presley. So the king stole Forrest Gump's moves. Not only was Forrest Gump did he drive the girls wild with his dance moves, but he was also extremely athletic. Throughout high school, he often displayed his blazing speed by running away from people who were picking on him or through playing football. And he was rewarded with a full scholarship to the University of Alabama to play football. Now at this university, he was fortunate enough to play under one of the greatest football coaches of all time, in Bear Bryant. At the university, he was rewarded with the title of an All-American football player, and he was able to meet the president for the first time, which at the time was JFK. After his football days, he enlisted with the U.S. Army, when he was deployed in the Vietnam War. And in Vietnam, his troops became under an ambush, and he was able to rescue and save all of his troops, as many as he could. And when in the meantime he got shot, which he called the buttocks, which he claimed to be $1 million wound, but as Forrest once said, the government must keep that money because he ain't seen a nickel of that. Now, for his heroism and for him saving everyone and getting shot in the meantime, he was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, and this time he was able to meet the President, Lyndon Johnson. Now, as he was healing up from his wound, and he decided that he took a liking to the game of ping pong. When he was healing his wounds and everything, he would sit there and play with himself, play with whoever wanted to play ping pong with him, and he got extremely good, and he was able to play on the U.S. Army national team, which he was able to go across country in China and play in the Good Bowl games obviously to try to become a world champion. And in the meantime, he did become the world champion. And so, after that, from his endorsements from ping pong, he was able to start a shrimping boat company, which he promised his best friend Bubba Buford Blue back in the Army that they would start together, but unfortunately Bubba died during the war. So with the endorsement money, Forrest started, and his first mate was Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan was obviously his lieutenant back in the Army, so it was Forrest and Lieutenant Dan that started one of the biggest shrimping businesses of all time, and of course the shrimp company is called Bubblegum Shrimp. And Forrest also, when his mother became sick, he had to go home, and he left Lieutenant Dan in charge of the whole shrimping business. And when Forrest did that, Lieutenant Dan invested their money in what was at the time Apple Company, but Forrest called it a fruit company. And he got a letter in the mail from Lieutenant Dan saying that they didn't have to worry about money no more. And Forrest would always go, "Good, that's one less thing." So, not only did he start one of the most prolific shrimping companies. He also invested in Apple, which is one of the biggest, things in the world right now in forms of technology. And last but not least, Forrest, while doing his finishing up his ping pong tour and everything with his shrimping company, he was able to meet President Nixon, his third and final president. And at the time, he was staying in a sort of like a Holiday Inn-ish type hotel, but President Nixon insisted that he stayed in the Watergate Hotel. And at night, Forrest was kept up by lights, and he called the maintenance man to have someone go check on these people that are with all these flashlights. And Forrest obviously inadvertently exposed what was the Watergate scandal, which led to President Nixon's impeachment. So these are just a few of the things that Forrest did, and with a man that had such a low IQ, he was able to accomplish so many things and put his head towards so much stuff, and was able to just make the best out of his life. And as Forrest would always say, that's all I have to say about that.